if the Russians interfered in American elections, that's wrong. No foreign country should intervene in any country's elections. But paradoxically, the one country that has interfered more in other countries' democratic elections than any other country is the United States of America. And there's a New York Times article you can find that describes that United States, since the end of World War II, has probably intervened in over 100 elections. And Americans assume that if I intervene in elections, I'm a good guy. It's okay for me to do so. But in relations among countries, you can only have one law. So America should declare either all countries should stop interfering in other countries' elections, which means that if Americans don't want Russians to interfere in their elections, Americans must also say, we will not interfere in any other country's elections. But the Americans, unfortunately, want to have double standards. And double standards are not acceptable, but for any countries. You know, Americans like to promote human rights. I always tell an American, next time you give a speech and you say, America supports human rights, just change one word. Just say, America supports Palestinian rights. Can you do that? If you can't do that, you're not supporting human rights, right? I quote from a speech that the former President Bill Clinton gave in Yale in 2003, where he said, if America is going to be number one forever, then we can keep on doing whatever we are doing unilaterally because we're number one. We can do what we want. Then he added a but. He said, but if you can conceive of a world where we are no longer number one, then surely it is in America's national interest to strengthen a rules-based order and to strengthen multilateral institutions, multilateral rules, multilateral processes. So this is the wise advice that Bill Clinton gave 15 years ago to the American people. So far, they haven't listened to it, but eventually they will, because it will be in their natural interest to do so. I think the United States, ironically, if you look at the history of international law, most of the concepts and ideas are provided to us by Western thinkers, including American thinkers. And the greatest paradox about America is that some of the best ideas in international law come from American minds, but some of the greatest violations of international law have been made by America. For example, when the United States decided to invade Iraq in March 2003, the Secretary General of the UN, Kofi Annan, declared that that war is illegal because you can only go to war under international law if it's an act of self-defense or if it's authorized by the UN Security Council. Now, the American invasion of Iraq was not an act of self-defense, nor was it authorized by the UN Security Council, and therefore it was under international law illegal. And I think it was very unwise for America to launch an illegal war because it may at some point in time create a precedent for others to do so too. And as you know, one of the consequences of launching an illegal war is that America suffered a lot and spent $3 trillion or $5 trillion on Iraq and did not make it a better country. So there's a great deal of intellectual dishonesty among American intellectuals when it comes to assessing things like this. And it's important for them to understand that if the rest of the world is going to live peacefully with America, America cannot have double standards like this.